Welcome everyone, welcome to a new market update. Today, people are freaking out about the markets as Bitcoin dropped 3%. It's a very minimal drop. Bitcoin is still acting inside a range. You should not be panicking at all, but people will do that. So, we'll be discussing Bitcoin, Ethereum and some other projects today in this update. Do not forget to subscribe beneath and also like this update if you enjoy the content. I wanted to do a DeFi video, but today it's going to be Bitcoin once again, given the fact that we just had a slight minimal drawdown, making altcoins dropping down from their resistances. As in, yesterday the momentum became quite bullish in general. However, I've also been tweeting that coins like AAVE have been reaching resistance zones, and given that we are currently in an accumulation range, it doesn't really mean that they have the same impulsive strength as they used to have as in the beginning of this year. It's just a calm-paced market right now. The market in which we're going to have a prolonged cycle until the next year is still very likely to be happening given maturing of the markets in itself. Well, let's get to the charts. And I've got the first one, which is the Wyckoff structure. And as you can see, we are still testing and reclaiming of support. There's two conclusions that you can draw about probably reclaiming support. We can do that at 33k, which we have been doing and which I've been discussing previously. I've also been discussing that 35 is a very critical level to hold on to or to break through, as that is to break it to the upside. If that cracks, I think 38 to 41 are next. However, there's also still this fact that we have been wicking towards 28.8. So weekend is coming up, so usually you'll see some volatility during the weekend, which comes back to the equilibrium at Monday. But we can see that in this entire structure, we've had some beautiful wicks. We can see one here, we can see one there, we can see some bounces here. So if 33 is lost, the Wyckoff can still be valid if 31 holds. So that is currently the case. If we get towards charts and a clean one, and we can see what the structure is doing right now. We have stated that this entire resistance zone around 35.6 is a very critical one, and we've rejected here. In this trend, we can see that we're currently making lower highs. So in that perspective, we also rejected 35, which is this entire block. We also concluded that this entire green range is acting as support right now, meaning that you might want to become interested in this entire structure, as that is the area where price dipped into before it started to continue bouncing back up. So during the weekend we have seen, or during the past week, we've seen those bounces from 33k. If that is lost, as stated just now, you could be looking at a structure where potentially support can be found in this area here, which is around 31k. That's the final hurdle. If that is lost, you're going to look at 24. So the critical levels right now is 33 and then this zone here. If that is lost, I'm going to target the area around 24k. I'll just make the round here. Second, on the upside, given that you have these critical levels, you can start making a new one here. So this entire range that we have here, which is around 34.6, that is the critical resistance. So right now, why is that? Well, that is because of the fact that we have been making lower highs in the recent period too. We are still making lower highs since the crash, but we are also making higher lows. So market is looking for something like that to be happening at this stage. If that happens, you're going to fight the trend and most likely are looking for a new higher high, which could be around the zone here of 41k during the coming week. So critical levels to break, 34.6 to 35.5, and on the support levels we've got 33 and 31 before we are going towards 24. When we look at Ethereum at this case, we can see that we have not been breaking critical resistance yet. So we've had the exact same resistance zone as with some other altcoins, in which this used to be acting as support, and right now we can see that we are finding resistance here. most likely what you'll be seeing happening at this stage is what you have to be seeing in this structure too. So we are making a bounce up, consolidating further down the line, maybe even retesting the low around 1700s even more, but usually you will get a higher low, and in this case I'd be looking at 1860 and 2k. These are the two levels that I'm watching right now, so 1860 to 2k are the zones. And then the trend starts to shift, given that we are making a higher low after this structure. So we've got a double bottom, we've got a test here, we still make lower highs, we make a higher low here, and then after this high, you're going to look for the new higher high, and then the trend can continue moving. So most likely we'll just take out the high around September, October, November, somewhere in that region. That is what you're looking at. So we lost, or we couldn't break the critical breaker on Ethereum against USDT at this stage, as you can see. Right now we are getting into a temporary support area, but you know that if we bounce here, anything in this region might become a short entry towards 2k, and then this zone is where I'd be looking at, and then secondly this is where I'd be taking an entry as well. So is this a moment to panic around? No, it is a moment that the market is still accumulating, and some altcoins have been showing momentum, and some altcoins are still showing momentum, but you should always avoid FOMO at all costs. So AAVE, for instance, made a nice bounce into this weekly block of support, rallied all the way up, and this is a vital resistance. We've seen a rally of about 80% on the Bitcoin pair. USDT pair ran for about 150%, and then a usual correction happens. So you want to avoid taking FOMO into your trades, especially when something has been moving heavily already. And you can see that in those runs, usually you will see a very harsh correction, and it comes down to test levels of importance. So what can we see? Well, we can see that we've got a resistance here and two support levels, or a very important support level. So that is level 1. Then second, if it dips even further, you can see that we've got this order block here, which can grant you support too. Now we look at the 4-hour structure. The entire block of the daily level that we have here is similarly very important to watch. And then secondly, we've got this entire region that we just discussed that became resistance and support. That is just the second level that I'll be looking at. So if you want to get an entry on AAVE, you want to look at 8,000 sats to 7,000 sats, somewhere in that region, rather than here, because if you want to buy it here, your risk reward is just not profitable at all, only in very, very bullish momentum. If we look at Ethereum against Bitcoin, we can also see that we are rejecting there, or we are consolidating a little bit. However, we've been bouncing from support, we've made a substantial run to the upside, and also Ethereum against Bitcoin is looking for at least consolidation, but secondly for a higher low, which grants further upside. So those levels that we have here are still the ones that I'm watching on Ethereum against Bitcoin. So as a conclusion, should you be panicking at this stage? No, Bitcoin is at a very boring range at this point and still holding critical levels. If that is going to change, you can adjust the trade, because volatility is going to kick in quite soon, and the breakout of this range will become a very impulsive move to either way. But in general, nothing goes up in a straight line, so if even with altcoins, seeing those rejections are moments for you to start taking profits to be able to accumulate back into them. If you want to know more about the group, check out the description or the link in the description beneath, where you can join and trade alongside me, but also have lots of educational material. And I'll see you again tomorrow for a fresh new update. Enjoy your day.